We should be live now. So,
Real life.
welcome everyone to another episode of Everything Outside Code. And today I have Nico Schriever with me. Nico, you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, William, for having me on the stream. Excited to join.
Yep. So, we have Nico. We're going to have a fantastic conversation for the next 45 minutes where we talk about, again, everything outside code, the boring bits that folks don't like to talk about, but super important to ship uh, any product, any software product, or even a service to to production. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll see them, we'll take them, and we'll just get this conversation going. So, Nico, I like to start with you telling us a bit about yourself and how you got here. So, how you got to being the founder of Schriever Advisory and Catable, and we can get to what Catable is after now.
Yeah, thank you. So it's been a long, I would say a long journey until I came to the place where I am right now. I basically founded um, my e-learning design and development agency. So that's what Schriever Advisory is. My my main business, so to call it. I founded that in 2016, so it's been 8 years now, and yeah, I'm that's like my business, building online learning courses, and yeah, that's like my main occupation at the moment. I'm based in Munich, Germany, so that's where I currently lived. I lived some time in northern Germany, Hamburg, Berlin, also some time abroad in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. So I I did
Yeah,
not a large round trip around the world, but yeah, that's basically where I live right now. And
yeah,
so yeah, that's what I do at Schriever Advisory. Build online courses mainly for corporate clients or yeah, mid-sized companies who want to train their employees online, and I basically help them organize everything. So doing the background work of preparing learning materials and then distributing that to the employees, and like building online courses. And I really like that. Or I really like that business, and I've been working with a lot of different clients, mostly med tech sector, but also automotive in Germany. That's a large industry, so
yeah.
it's great to be there. But I always wanted to do something more and not just build courses using no code tools. So this year I decided I wanted to do something different and learn how to code. And yeah, I bought some online courses, learned how to code in January and February, and then built my first app, which is a Cataboo. And maybe let's,
Wow.
yeah, it's been interesting to learn everything, but I once I did a little bit of coding, a little bit of learning, I noticed it's,
Hmm.
or maybe I was naive to think that it's not too difficult. And then I found out it is actually quite difficult, but only at a very later stage, and only after you learn a little bit, um, then you get to the harder parts, but also you
Hmm.
see how long you've already come. So it also inspires you to keep going, because when you see what you couldn't do
Yeah, you
4 weeks
can't stop
ago,
now.
then you can't stop. Exactly. And I built Kataboo, which is a learning app, an AI-based app or an AI chat app like ChatGPT. It's basically just a wrapper around ChatGPT, and it currently helps you learn about all current world leaders. So presidents, chancellors, kings and queens, and whoever reigns a
Yeah.
country. And you can use the app to learn in a chat or have an AI chat. I don't know, an AI teacher. That's what Kataboo is. An AI teacher helping you learn all these presidents. And now you might ask, well, that's very specific. I don't think many people will
Yeah.
actually want to learn all the presidents of the world. That's a very specific use case. But it's something I always wanted to learn. And learning how to code enabled me to build the stuff which I wanted. And I didn't find that app anywhere. Of course, you can read through Wikipedia all day and learn everything, but that's not intuitive. So I wanted to learn all presidents. So I built the app. Now I've got the app. I'm using it myself to learn. Um, and now really the fun starts. Where do I go from the app? I need to build it so that other people might like it as well. So that's probably the
Yeah,
next stage.
yeah. I have like tons of questions. That's
Oh,
just like
sorry, that was long,
flooding
talking
my
for a long
mind,
time. So please.
flooding my mind as you were speaking. But this is amazing. First, just dial you back 2 steps. What took you to Malaysia? I haven't been, but
Oh,
curious about what happens there.
I did an exchange semester online, so I studied there for half a year. I studied business because when I started
Hmm.
out after school, I wanted to do international business. I didn't know
Hmm.
what exactly that was, but that it sounded cool,
Yeah,
so I wanted to do it. So I started studying in Germany, and then I had this opportunity to go to Malaysia to study for half a year, and I was
yeah,
studying finance. So I have a major in finance, and I did that finance major in Malaysia. So that was a bit of coincidence because I applied to a lot
yeah.
of universities and I got accepted in Korea and I got accepted in Malaysia and
Hmm.
then ultimately decided to go into Malaysia. And it's been super amazing. I really loved it.
Wow. Yeah, that's so you have a business background with finance, and then
Yeah.
you decided to learn to code, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you trying to be Superman or what? You didn't think of getting a co-founder. You wanted to like do everything, or
Yeah.
how did you decide that?
Um, it just came to me. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay.
So I came back from Malaysia. I was broke and I needed to make some money to get back to living in Germany, and I
Yeah.
applied to tons of different jobs. So, for example, applied for a supermarket, stacking like stuff into the
Wow.
shelves and everything, and they rejected me. And I got a job at the university teaching e-learning, not really teaching e-learning, but helping the professors teach online
Yeah.
because most of them at that time weren't very knowledgeable with online tools. So I helped
Hmm.
them build online course content, and that's where I started doing e-learning. So I have no background in it, but that was 2012, so it's already been 12 years now doing
Yeah.
that. And going from there, I was always using no code tools, and those were always limited to some point. I
Hmm.
spent ages trying to build web applications and e-learning content, which and always got to a limit where the software couldn't support me anymore. I tried to put in
Hmm.
workaround after workaround after workaround, and then I always said I need to learn how to code to really build this from ground up, because when you code, you can go from fresh. You can build anything you want, and that's what I
Yeah.
wanted. And that's kind of the journey. So it's a bit of
Yeah.
I wanted to I know where I wanted to be in the end, but I didn't know how to get there. So it was a bit of a fun ride.
That's that's amazing. You have like a very good origin story with like being rejected at the grocery store. So when you become like
I-
multi-billionaire, you tell that story on like on
it,
some
it
national TV.
it's the truth. At that point, I was super broke. I was like, I'll take any job. Just give me money. I'll work for you. And then I
Yeah.
was being rejected at the supermarket. So I was like, okay, then
Yeah.
what do I do?
That's cool. So with Schriever Advisory, um, you said you focus on like different niches, so medical fields, like medical
Yeah,
domains,
yeah.
automotive. Do you work with domain experts, or are you also the expert that creates these content as well?
No, I have domain experts who supply the knowledge. So very rarely I add my own knowledge to the courses. So usually I get the content from my customers, and I have knowledge experts who then um, supply their knowledge. In very rare cases, I research some topics, but I usually try not to do that too much because I'm an expert in e-learning, but I'm not an expert in the medical sector, so
Yeah,
I can't really put much knowledge from myself in there. Yeah, but I do
yeah.
training sometimes. So I train employees from some companies on the
Hmm.
systems which they use to distribute the courses. So basically, I do similar thing like a WordPress training, but it's not
Yeah,
WordPress, but e-learning software. So I do training for that sometimes.
yeah. That's great. Let's talk a bit about Katobu because I really like the idea.
Mhm.
As a kid, growing up in Nigeria, we had these books like
Mhm.
they call them. I think it was social studies. It was something around current affairs. Yes, that's what they're
Mhm.
called.
Yeah.
Current affair books, and they had
Yeah.
like everything from like leaders in the country to
Mhm.
uh, states and capitals, fun
Mhm.
facts, and it was something we're proud of. It's like when you finish that, you read it front and back like 5 times,
Yeah.
so you know
Yeah.
like everything, and you can like talk with your peers about who's the governor of this state or who's the deputy governor of this unknown state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a lot of that like around, especially since printing sort of like
Mhm.
died down. It's been mostly like everyone's on their
Yeah.
phones. Uh, so I think something like this would bring it like back.
Yeah.
Which makes me curious. Like, how did you like? What was the motivation? Was it like for personal knowledge, and then you just decided, oh, I'm going to build this, or is this a fallout of you're done learning to code, you want to build something, and then Katabu came along?
Um, no, it's more like I had the idea, I wanted to build it, and then I had to learn to code to build it. So I tried to develop the app
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 years ago
Mm-hmm.
already with an employee of mine, and at that time uh, we designed the we designed the app. Um, and and did everything on the front end, but didn't really put anything on the back end. And then I had other tasks to do, so it kind of was put on hold. And now then I thought, okay, I really want to do this because I had this desire to learn all the presidents out, and it always came back. And then I also had the thought, okay, long term, I want to learn how to code because I want to build something way bigger, like my own
Yeah.
learning platform, or um, some really good way of for companies to train their employees. But these big projects are way too big to start with. So then I thought, okay, why not learn how to code, build something small like Katabu, and
Mm-hmm.
then take that as a base. And
Yeah.
I know it's very specific to learn to know all presidents. I still don't know all of them, but I do have a good memory of them because I read a lot of newspapers and like not newspapers, but online papers. I don't know whether
Yeah.
you would still call them newspapers. And I do have a rather good memory of most presidents. And I always thought, how cool would it be to know every president? So if you go in the world, I like to travel a lot. So if you go to,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the Seychelles or uh, South Africa or wherever in the world, and you speak to people, and you're not just a tourist, but you know a little bit about their politics, about their
Yeah.
governor or president or whatever. So that was my motivation. And
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think one of the ways to get like folks interested, like in whatever you're saying, is to relate really well with the politics of the country. Even though no one, like people mostly do not care, like majority of the population wouldn't,
yeah,
but they would just be excited about it.
yeah. Um, exactly. And now presidents is just it's a niche topic. But in order to have an app that trains that, I needed to build everything around it, like
Mm-hmm.
the connection to the AI, the database which is updated each day, like when a new president gets elected today, then that is being
Yeah.
put in my database the same day, basically, or maybe late the last day. So I had to build all of that. And
Yeah.
now I have it. And now I'm thinking about what the next steps are. So I can either add more categories, like maybe you
Hmm.
learn all the capitals in the world, or you learn
Yeah.
about rivers and mountains, or you learn about, I was thinking about European elections, which are upcoming now. So I thought about modifying category or adding categories so that you can learn about the
Hmm.
elections and the parties running for office or parliament. So
Yeah.
those are my ideas, but I also have to say I might also transition to a next project at some point in the future.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess it served its purpose to both learn, be like a stepping stone towards building probably your own e-learning
Yeah,
platform,
yeah.
which is great. So how do you envision like GTM, like go to market now, driving new users or folks to Caribou? Are you doing anything in that regard, or it's just you built it, it's out there. Hopefully, people find it or not. But how are you getting into the hands of prospects and users?
Yeah, so at the moment, I just put it out there. I feel that I put it
Okay.
out there, didn't do a lot of marketing. I have a few friends who said they really need the app once I finish it. So I'm going to try to get them to use it and give me feedback.
Mhm.
Um,
Are you
and
going to monetize it?
Yeah, it's actually monetized at the moment through a subscription because I have ongoing costs with the AI. So if you use the app, it costs a little bit for me
Hmm.
for the AI. So it's a subscription at the moment. Um, but yeah, I'm not so sure yet how to proceed. So I thought about adding more categories and then marketing it as a kind of trivia app. So maybe for
Hmm.
students or people who are taking part in like pub quizzes or something like that and want to build up their knowledge. So that's one idea. And the other idea is for people applying for jobs. So especially in Germany, sometimes companies want people to have a good common knowledge of everything, like politics, news, everything. And
Hmm.
it's tough to prepare for that because how do you learn about everything basically and specifics?
Hmm.
So maybe I want to go in that direction to market it as a learn about common knowledge. So because a lot of people tell me, like friends of mine tell me, oh, I haven't read the news in a while. I don't really know about each governor from each region, like you mentioned
Hmm.
when you were a kid learning it through the
Yeah.
leaflets. As an adult, you don't always have that. And friends have told me they were in an application process with companies and they were asked questions which they didn't know, but they should have known if they read like a lot of news. So maybe I put all the news in
Hmm.
Katabu and let people learn through it. But that's something for the future. Um,
Yeah.
I'll have to see. It's a tough thing to
Hmm.
monetize, I think, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's tough. Maybe a one-time payment. And the reason I say
Mhm.
this is because of the rise in global migrations, for instance, and like young people traveling about and settling in
Mhm.
other places, um, people lose touch with like the politics of a place where they move to. For instance, I moved to Norway. I live here now.
Mhm.
I don't know who the prime minister is. I don't know who. I don't know
Yeah,
who is the head of the commune here or
yeah,
like the municipality. Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Elections are coming up. I don't know who's contesting. I don't know what parties they are. When I lived in Dubai, I didn't know any of that as well. I knew there was like one ruler, and that
yeah.
was it. But there were like other people. But a lot of times you want to be like in touch with the society. I mean, it's part of like
Mhm.
being in a place, right? But
Yeah,
I didn't know any of these things and some common knowledge as well, like what, like basic stuff, like how many states are there
yeah,
in the country, right?
yeah.
I would know back in the day, but now I have no idea. Not like it's important, but it's just something you feel you feel okay, you feel good about like
Mhm,
knowing
mhm.
it's like okay, I have this knowledge and then that's it. Maybe it's just be but I know if apps like four flags one country
Mhm.
could explode. I don't know if you've tried. It's like the app where you're presented with four flags and then you have to like
Yeah,
pick what
you
country
select,
it is.
okay, that's Norway and that's Dubai, and then it tells you, no, that's actually
Exactly.
back off somewhere else. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So if such apps could like blow up, such trivia apps that are like
Yeah.
simple but they have like millions of users, I think
Yeah.
this definitely has a place, and
Yeah.
people would try it. And you said educational content, like marketing it as an educational tool. I think that'd be great as well for like kids also to
Hmm.
learn,
Yeah.
what's happening, like current affairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
And maybe also history. So somebody recently on Twitter suggested that I should add like historic data of kings in France. That was a very specific case that person wanted to learn. So yeah, something that is probably taught in schools, so targeting
Hmm.
students would be an idea as well. I don't know. I'm very open at the moment where it's going. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, having one-time payment, like you suggested, is a good idea for somebody coming new to a country and wanting to learn
Hmm.
everything about like Norway, and then I could put everything about Norway in one package and
Hmm.
give access to that for a certain time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I might do that.
Yeah. And I mean, I would love to learn. This has become a product feedback session, but I would love to learn what Norway was
Thank
like
you.
50
Thank
years
you.
ago,
Yeah.
100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Um, if there was a way, you know how you have like time scroll bars where
Hmm.
you could
Yeah.
go back in time
Yeah.
25 years and you see like how was this place 25 years ago? I
Yeah.
think chat gpt like would have
Yeah.
that knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
Especially like in a summarized form. That
Yeah.
would definitely be good to see.
Yeah.
Like I want to know. I've always heard of like Kyrgyzstan and
Yeah.
Mongolia. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was like in the past. I don't know
Yeah.
like the history. I would love to
Yeah.
learn about those, and especially like in bite size. I think I could get lost in an app like that where
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
just like pouring through information. But then I would assume if you do not have all that information stored somewhere, your open AI bill is going to be like off the roof.
Yeah, that's the thing. So right now with the country data, um, it's I let users choose which region they want to learn about. So you choose Asia
Hmm.
or Europe, and then only that data is being pulled from the database and sent to the OpenAI interface. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, having all the data is possible, but it would get very expensive because you have such a long context. So each question you send to the AI is getting expensive. And I tested that. I took all the world leaders, deputies, and kings and everybody in in my connection to the AI. And I noticed, like in my case with ChatGPT 4, each message costs like 5 cents, which doesn't sound much, but if you really want to learn about something, you send hundreds and hundreds of messages. And then, I don't know,
Hmm.
it wouldn't make sense paying 30 euros to learn about presidents, I think, in my view. So I
Yeah.
had to do some trade offs. But what I
Hmm.
see is that the context windows are getting larger and it's getting way cheaper to run the models. So maybe I just need to wait a few more weeks or months and then it will be possible or cheap enough to do.
Yeah. Maybe it's time. Time is your leverage here. You just
In
wait a
this
couple of months.
maybe.
Yeah. You get GPT-5 and then it costs like a cents for a couple million
Yeah,
tokens.
yeah, maybe. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like
A credit
ChatGPT.
a credit system a
Yeah,
credit system might also work for folks
yeah,
like B that would just like just keep going down the rabbit hole. And if it's
yeah,
captivating enough, it's like a Netflix episode. We just keep paying for paying
yeah,
for it to be run.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. David in the comments said you've done great in a short amount of time, Nico.
Thank you so much. That's really kind. Thanks a lot, David.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining the stream, David.
Happy to have you.
Um, yeah. So aside the marketing of it, something I'm really curious, I forgot to ask was you said you learned to code. Where? Like where did you learn to code as a founder? Like you already know like
Um,
the business side of things.
yeah. So I, over the past years, when I like process of how the process of deciding to learn how to code took a few years. So I purchased a few courses to learn how to code, and I purchased some more courses over the past years, and I never really did it. I like read
Yeah.
through the direction, and then I always had something else to do, so I didn't do it. This year, I really decided to do it, and I went through all the courses I bought on Udemy, so udemy.com,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a few online courses which I bought there, and the one I like most is by Dr. Angela Yu from London, United Kingdom, and actually the Apiary, I think that's what her company is called, and she has a few courses on Udemy, and I bought a few others, and I even signed up to, I think, Harvard Online Computer Science, which is free, I think. So there is a free computer science degree which you can do online. But what I from the course on Udemy, I got really hands-on tasks, and basically I started out learning each day just 1 hour learning how to code, starting
Mm-hmm.
with HTML and CSS, designing a Hello World web page, and then going from there. And I basically bought add-on courses from Udemy whenever I thought, okay, that's a cool topic to learn. For example, Tailwind,
Mm-hmm.
CSS for styling websites. So I did that course in full, which is the only course I have ever done in full because I wanted to
Yeah.
have in my CV completed an online course 100%, which I think
Yeah.
very rarely somebody ever does.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
That's 0.1%.
yeah, and after that, it wasn't too long though. It was just 2 weeks or so for me to complete it. And after completing that, I was like, oh, I wasted so much time. I learned like the same stuff over and over. But now I'm pretty quick with all the Tailwind
Yeah.
commands. So now I can start a website very fast. So that's the
Yeah.
benefit. Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
just went from
That's
there. And yeah.
yeah, that's cool. So online courses, making a conscious effort to finish one of them, and then you
And
just build something and
yeah, and I built something, and I diverted from the online course very quickly. So the one I had, which was very good, but at some point I decided, okay, I don't need to learn everything that is in the project. And the example projects in those courses are very good in my experience. You can build some nice apps, but I found it's very different if you want to solve your own problem and find the solutions to that. So, for example, in my course, there was a module where you learn how to work with sounds, and you have a button in JavaScript, and you click on the button and it plays a sound. And I couldn't relate to that because I don't really like playing sounds in my web app. So
yeah,
for me, that was not really something I was interested in. So I didn't memorize it very well. So at that
yeah,
point, I decided to start with my own project like Cataboo, and then
hmm,
try to solve real world problems, how to connect to a database, how to build the chat interface. Yeah. And so that helped like going my own way. And also a large part of the success, where my learning success, like going from zero, was finding a community on Twitter, like in the built-in public community. I had a Twitter account before, but I didn't really post anything. So then I started posting more. I got to meet people on Twitter. People started encouraging me to keep going, to learn more, and they were very encouraging. And also joined a Telegram group of some people I met on Twitter, and it was like it's a commit 330 365 group. So you commit to one part of code every day for the whole year.
Hmm.
And all of the guys in the group were so nice to me, and they were welcoming me as a beginner, even though I just could type "Hello World" and style it with the
Yeah.
pink head background, really ugly
Yeah.
stuff. But they were really nice to me, and they helped me sometimes. And having that accountability of like showing up every day
Hmm.
because they were waiting, like everybody was typing in what they did that day, so that kept me going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I barely seen, community go wrong, right? Especially when you're just starting out. I think it's something everyone should definitely check out, belong to.
Yeah.
Learning in isolation isn't fun, right? Even
No.
building in isolation isn't fun either.
No, no. And like having that accountability, like I have clients whose tasks I need to fulfill. I've got family I need to take care of. I need to go to the gym and take care of my health. And so everybody has stuff to do, and it's easy to learn something on a good day where you have free time and everything's fine. It's raining outside, you spend the day in front of the computer, but on the days where you have a lot of stuff to do and you don't have much time, that's where it counts, having that accountability. So posting online, okay, I'm going to build this app. And I'm not saying I will build this app, I'm going to build the app. And
Yeah.
having a group of friends who tell you, okay, Nico, what's up? Where have you been last week? Why didn't you write some code? So that helps keeping you work on it every day, or
Yeah.
every weekday, whether you prefer. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool. Definitely does help. Speaking of Shiva advisory, you talked about customers and then you talk about Twitter. So I wanted to ask you about channels. So
Yeah.
what channels work for you, right?
Uh,
How do you find customers for Shiva advisory in the first place?
So I have to say it's uh, at the moment only connections. So personal
Hmm.
connections, customers who recommend me to other clients, and then basically meeting people, going to meetups or conventions, talking to people. That this is basically how I acquire customers, or clients. I don't know what you want to call it. Um, so it's entirely an offline network, I would say. So I meet the people
Yeah.
sometimes online, but it's mostly offline, meeting, talking to people, and that has worked for me very well. I've been working with some of my clients for many years now, so that's something that's working well for me. And I have had a lot, luckily, I had a lot of work over the past year, so I didn't really look for more work in some cases because I was already fully booked. I always postponed doing marketing, uh, posting online. I always postponed that to a time where I really needed it. But
Yeah.
that's not good. I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's always good to
Yeah.
have a constant stream of new contacts. And that's very tough to do if you have personal connections. You cannot guide that. You cannot do search engine optimization with personal contacts. Either you meet the people or you don't meet the people,
Or
or
you
sometimes,
don't. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I want to get more into that, and um, I I haven't been posting a lot of content on LinkedIn about my e-learning business, and also on Twitter. I didn't really use, like, I did my build in public, my learning how to code stuff on Twitter,
Yeah. Yeah.
because my clients, I know them very well, and I know they wouldn't be on Twitter probably. Maybe they are, but
Yeah.
I've never met anybody on Twitter, any of my customers. So, but on LinkedIn, yes. So I should probably focus more on LinkedIn on that. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So share similar thoughts, right? Um, what I've realized is that by the people that buy, so typically we have like our ICP who companies we
Mhm,
sell to. Uh, those we work with directly, we can
mhm,
find them on Twitter. So
mhm.
these are developer advocates, technical writers. They're on
Yeah.
Twitter, but they are bosses that actually pay and like
Mhm.
bring us on board. They are on LinkedIn.
Ah,
So
okay.
um, we sort of have to be in both places because we're an agency, so we create
Yeah.
content on both sides to enable them and show both audiences what's
Yeah.
possible. Because we think about uh, what does the manager care about, what does the CMO care
Hmm.
about, right?
Hmm.
Or a VP of developer relations, what do they
Hmm.
care about, right? Why should
Yeah.
they care about content? And then
Yeah.
we think about a developer advocate, like what do they care about as well? Because eventually we interface with them, we help their day-to-day, operations and lives be
Hmm.
easier. And also we're building a community of technical writers. This
Hmm.
means we have to be on Twitter talking to them.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I guess we're in both places. We just sort of understand who we're talking to
Yeah.
in those channels. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we use Instagram and TikTok to just like pass time and just do whatever.
Yeah.
Like we don't have customers there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just to show life at Hackmamba, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
interesting.
that's sort of how we've seen like the channels, but ultimately the folks that pay big bucks, they're
Hmm.
on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Yeah.
those that either do not have as much money, I mean the probability, I mean those that have like that are able to pay, huge, or able to
Hmm.
foot the bill of huge deal sizes, they're on
Yeah.
Twitter as well, but the likelihood of finding them there is very little. Probabilities are
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
But on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, yeah, definitely there's more of them. So I like to think if you have a B2B product, you want to
Hmm.
be on LinkedIn. And if you have a B2C product, you want to be on Twitter or whatever channel where you find like
Yeah.
individuals, especially if you want to sell to like indie hackers and
Yeah.
you want to sell to other people building, then you should be
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Yeah. That's interesting and makes total sense. Now you say it, I'm thinking, why didn't I not why did I not do that in the past
Yeah,
8 years or 10 years? I don't know, since I have a LinkedIn account. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
probably.
LinkedIn is, I mean, LinkedIn can be cringe, right? You could
Mm.
walk in the cringe streets of LinkedIn and you wonder, how did I get here? Like, why am I seeing posts? How am I seeing posts like this, right?
Yeah,
What did I do to deserve this? But on the flip side, there are folks sharing like really helpful content. I've learned a ton
yeah,
from LinkedIn, being there actively over the last 6 to 9 months. I've learned so
mhm,
much on LinkedIn
yeah,
than I have learned on Twitter, being
mhm,
there over the years, because Twitter is more like social. We
yeah,
see memes. I check out like Manchester United and how they're
yeah,
messing up.
yeah, yeah,
But on LinkedIn, it's maybe some amazing dude, amazing creator, Jordan
yeah,
Crawford, sharing like tips
mhm,
that ordinary I wouldn't think about.
yeah,
And other people sharing like really helpful stuff. They may sell
mhm,
something at the end of the day, but you learn something like tangible.
mhm, mhm,
um so I really respect like the work that goes on with
mhm.
LinkedIn, especially if you're able to find like great creators and follow them and build connections with them as well.
That's cool. I really like that. So, and also like the view of having like B2B decision makers on LinkedIn, and in your case, the writers and content creators on Twitter and X.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
a
For
good
I think
idea.
for anyone doing sales, right?
Hmm.
Something they would have to consider, and something I've seen a lot of folks, especially in the founders, you probably know this and not consider, is understanding who you're selling to and who you're
Yeah,
talking to in each meeting, right? The
yeah,
first
yeah,
call could be with um, maybe a marketing manager. The
yeah,
second call is with like a CMO, and they have
yeah,
like different intentions and different objectives.
yeah.
They have like different day to day. They hang out in different places.
Yeah.
Sometimes you connect with them and you talk to them, but at the end of the day, you need to like passively influence their
Hmm.
purchase decision, right? And you need to know where to do that and how to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so I've found out that even though folks like they're not like folks on Twitter, they're not like LinkedIn because LinkedIn is like the cringe streets. we've driven more revenue from LinkedIn than we ever could
Yeah.
imagine. On Actually, I'm unsure if we've even had like any revenue. Maybe very little, 10%, I would say, but the rest has just been from like LinkedIn and the network we've built there.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely utilize that more because for me, like my e-learning agency, Schriever Advisory, I'm going to continue that, serving my clients, maybe acquiring some new clients over the next time. But and Katabu, like we talked about earlier, is more like a B2C learning app for students. So maybe I'll continue marketing that on Twitter. But
Mm-hmm.
I have some plans for apps which I really wanted to build, like apps which I would love to use for my own work, developing content for my clients, um, or a lot of problems my clients struggle with. I'd like to build solutions for them, and those
Yeah.
will all be B2B tools.
Yeah.
And I've been in that business long enough to know that it's, in my view, where the big money is. If you're looking for that
Yeah.
B2B,
Yeah.
um, and what I'm seeing online is people sharing, you can have 3 customers and make enough money with the software with 3 customers. But if you go B2C, find
You
the,
need you need 10,000.
yeah, it's like no customer's going to pay those kinds of big bucks for a consumer app, I think. So um, uh, yeah, I think the
Yeah.
way forward will probably B2B for me as well. Just Katabu will be a fun
Yeah.
project, but I'll have to make money at some point because I'm
Mm-hmm.
cannibalizing my time from my e-learning agency. So I'm taking that time away to learn how to code because that's for me where the future is. I'm not doing
Yeah.
that just for fun. I'm doing it to build something for the future, and that will be B2B.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. B2B is where the money is at. Anyone can take me up on that. Um, it seems like you're thinking of something next because I see you have the domain search.com.
Yeah.
And to build a domain product, you must have run into issues picking a domain, which means you were probably thinking about building something else. So could you talk through like the domain search and the motivation for that?
Yeah. So while building Katabu, I tried to focus on getting Katabu finished, but all these new ideas came into my mind. Like, okay, now I know how to connect to an AI. Why not build an AI content creator which builds e-learning courses with AI or is something else? I don't know. And then I was always like building Katabu in the evening, and then after I finished, I was researching names for already the next app and the next idea.
Yeah.
And it took me ages, and I spent like hours over the past months, like hours, tens of hours to find domain names. I always found it difficult to uh, think of a domain, then go online, try to find if it's available, and then and only to find out that it's not available anymore, and then try to think of a new name and check the availability. So that took ages, and I was like, "Oh, why can't AI do that for me?"
Mhm.
And then I thought, I'm gonna take whatever I learned from Katabu, building Katabu, and gonna try to build an AI domain name finder tool as fast as possible and see how I can do that. And it was actually not that difficult anymore because I had the main frame already set up. I knew how to host an app and everything. I had some new problems like how to find whether that domain is available or not. So I had some issues there, but not too difficult. And that's why I just launched it just as a fun project. Yeah, and now I'm using that to find a domain name for my next project. So, yeah,
that's that's really
that's
cool. I like how you're scratching your own itch. It's like think about
like
something, you just go ahead and do it. Now it seems like you have a boilerplate, you have a domain name search
exactly.
system. What else? You just need the
Yeah,
ideas and you ship it.
exactly. And also with I thought to myself, like in the final idea is to build like maybe an e-learning platform or something big. And each of the projects I do before that or along the way that getting there, I learn something new. I learn how to store data in a database. I know how to handle file uploads. I know how to handle authentication, like user login and all of that. And each of the projects adds something on. And things like the domain search is not too complicated, but I learned something new there, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And next up, I have a project where I plan to um, build something that helps with translations of e-learning courses. And for that, I need to handle file upload. So that's something entirely new for me. I didn't learn yet how to handle file upload because I skipped that in my online course. So that will be my next project. And then maybe it makes money. So far, none of my apps have made any money, but sooner or later, something hopefully will.
Yeah. I guess that's the course that you didn't finish. That's what you're paying for now in terms of like building time with the apps. Yeah. That's really cool. Thank you so much for all these. We're coming up on time. Do you have any final words to anyone listening? This has been amazing.
Thanks, William. First of all, for you to host me. Excited to join this podcast and to be here and talk about my projects and hearing basically feedback from you about my apps and social media and everything, how to go forward. And greetings to everybody who's listening or maybe viewing the recording. So I'm really, really excited to be online and meeting you, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nico. And to anyone else listening,
William,
thanks for joining. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button as usual somewhere down here. I still don't know where it is. We're just having fun with these streams. And we'll see you next week on another episode of Everything Outside Code. Have a wonderful rest of the day then.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye, everybody.